Okay, now I don't look like death. I feel it's important to share the things that I'm reading because people don't read enough or aren't aware of books that exist. I am actively in the middle of George Takei's They Called Us Enemy. It's harrowing. If you don't follow George Takei, you should. He talks a lot about his experiences, but I'm at the part right now where they just recently moved compounds and how they moved from horse stalls to a new compound. He says at one point how lucky the new people are coming into the encampment they're leaving because they have little houses instead of horse stalls. Recently mucked horse stalls. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, Eleanor was the first Roosevelt to address the nation on her Sunday radio program. You can see how the public reacted to his own family. Immediately. Funny how quickly that goes. Hostiles exist. There is no blinking at the fact that our people, our territory, and our interests are in grave danger. With confidence in our armed forces, with the unbounding determination of our people, we will gain the inevitable triumph. So help us God. I ask that the Congress declare that since the unprovoked and dastardly attack by Japan on Sunday, December 7th, was a state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese Empire. The speech had its intended effect. Within 33 minutes, Congress declared war on Japan. In California at the time, the single most popular political position was lock up the Japs. The Attorney General of California, Earl Warren, decided to get in front of the issue. The Japanese situation as it exists in the state today may well be the Achilles heel of the entire civilian defense effort. Unless something is done, it may bring about a repetition of Pearl Harbor. He wanted to run for governor and would do anything to get that office. Lock them up. Lock them up. He saw the division his rhetoric caused. He knew that he was talking about 100,000 people who had not been charged with any crime, but he made an amazing statement for not just any lawyer, but the top lawyer of the state. He said, "We have no reports of spying or sabotage or fifth column activities by Japanese Americans." And that is ominous because the Japanese are inscrutable. You don't know what they're thinking, so it would be prudent to lock them up before they do anything. The absence of evidence was evidence for this Attorney General. Warren later rode his popularity to become a 3-term governor of California, then Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. Fletcher Bowron, the mayor of Los Angeles, testified before Congress that we were non-assimilable. They are Japanese and nothing else, regardless of how many generations may have been born in America. Undoubtedly, many of them intend to be loyal, but when the final test comes, who can say but that blood will tell. We cannot run the risk of another Pearl Harbor episode. Pressure built all the way up to the President of the United States. On February 19th, 1942, 74 days after Pearl Harbor, he issued Executive Order 9066. The order had never used the term Japanese or camps. It authorized the military to declare areas, quote, from which any or all persons may be excluded, and to provide transportation, food, shelter, and other accommodations to persons excluded from those areas. As for what kind of persons would be excluded, that quickly became obvious: the Japanese. Throughout the spring of 1942, over 100 civilian exclusion orders were issued, each one mapping out a district and ordering all Japanese Americans living there to report to their designated landmark for processing and removal. As the army rolled through each district, families were loaded onto buses, trains headed to an unknown future, abandoning all possessions beyond what they could carry. You're gonna sit here and tell me that this isn't the America you know? We've literally been here before. I cannot believe that this is happening again, but I also can believe it's happening again. Spring 1942, we were unloaded at Santa Anita Racetrack and herded over to the stables. Each family was assigned a horse stall, still pungent with the stink of manure. We get to sleep where the horsies slept. Fun! As a kid, I couldn't grasp the injustice of the situation. But for my parents, it was a devastating blow. They had worked so hard to buy a 2-bedroom house and raise a family in Los Angeles. Now we were crammed into a single, smelly horse stall. It was a degrading, humiliating, painful experience. Our parents did what they could to protect us from the unsanitary conditions, taking us to shower in the horse paddocks daily. But despite their best efforts, my baby sister became very sickly. She had a bad fever. There was a stand in the middle of the stable area where medicine was dispensed. My mother was always with us and would take us to the stands for my sister. I got sick too. While my parents were tending to Reiko, I had to stay in bed. The lady in the next stall would check in on me. "Are you all right, Georgie?" "I'm okay." In some ways, we began to settle into camp life there, trying to create some sense of normalcy. But not everyone was settled, and unrest started to fester early on. I began my schooling there at Santa Anita. Classes were held beneath the grandstand. After spending several months at the racetrack, we were once again told to pack up all of our possessions. Later arrivals at the racetrack had the luxury of living in the barracks that had been built in the parking lot. In my child's mind, they were lucky to get houses to live in. For us, more permanent residence was waiting somewhere far away. This is what I'm reading right now. This is how it's happening again. And if you don't see it, it's because you refuse to. And I don't have time for that level of ignorance, for that level of egotism, I guess, that you think that this can't happen in our country today. Just go talk to George Takei, go listen to his story, go read his story, and believe people when they tell you that they were victims of something. Because more often than not, people aren't making up stories about how they suffered. And the fact that you would let the small minority of people who do seek attention that way and just assume that everybody does it, it's the lack of self-awareness concerns me about humanity, but especially within the United States. The lack of education that is within our country is disturbing. And I was fortunate enough to have the International Baccalaureate program in high school, but I'm concerned that we will no longer have that option in the near future with the way that our Department of Education is going. And with a lack of education comes fascism. That's just a fact. Stay educated, read books, do the work, and don't be a victim. Don't fall victim to fascism by saying this can never happen, this isn't happening because it's not happening to me. I'm a pretty white woman. It's probably not going to happen to me. So I'm using that privilege to speak up for the people who it will happen to and is happening to now. Call your representative.